Part 2 of the Arizona Cardinals preseason week 1 breakdown begins now. The bad. Let's discuss. Let's go. Right now. I'll do it now.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily Arizona Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, it's me again. Same shirt. Fun story. If I load up, like during the offseason, I'll record a couple podcasts a day. I'm changing shirts. So it looks like a different day. It's the same day. I told you it was going to be the same day. Part 2 of the breakdown of the preseason week 1 for the Arizona Cardinals loss to the Saints. Right now, I am Alex Clancy. Follow me on Twitter at Clancy's Corner _. Follow the podcast Locked On AZ Cards. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen and second listen today. Free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Go to the YouTube channel, search Locked On Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. Leave a comment. Let me know if you like this part 1, part 2 thing. I'll probably do it for the remainder of the preseason. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to formulate, post games. Like if I'm going to record it and post on Sunday right after the game for the Cardinals and make that my Monday show. Kind of let me know what you think. I'm open to ideas. I'm still trying to figure it out. I've got a couple ideas. I'll pick one that works. I'm just curious what you'd like. Do you like a reaction full pod right after the game? Do you like it the next morning so you can kind of collect your thoughts? Let me know what you think in the comments. Again, download the YouTube. Just search Locked On Arizona Cardinals on YouTube. You don't have to download anything. So today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. This is several hours after posting the good portion of this. If you haven't seen that, maybe watch it after. If you haven't watched it already, I posted that at 12:30 Pacific today. Highlighted Darius Robinson, Darren Hall, Xavier Thomas, and Michael Carter. This is the bad, okay? And again, preseason, there's your disclaimer. One game doesn't matter a whole lot, but you'd like to see good more than bad. And I discussed this earlier during the good version of it. Not like the content was good. Content, so it's come out Locked On Cardinals. But the good that we saw from preseason week 1, it's kind of graded on a scale of importance. Like Darius Robinson only played 11 snaps, but he's set to be one of the more important defensive players for the Cardinals, even though he's a rookie. So it's under more of a microscope. And then Michael Carter, who I talked about in the third segment, it's lesser than. You'd hope he makes the roster, but he's not going to be that 1A must produce for the Cardinals to win like Darius Robinson is. And Darren Hall and Xavier Thomas, who I highlighted in the second segment, the cornerback room and the pass rush are the two biggest question marks on defense. So I highlighted both of them, both of whom played very, very well in their short stints playing football this past Saturday. So now the bad. Trey Benson. Pause for a second. It's not going to be like, oh, terrible draft, terrible. Stop. Okay. But 8 carries for 21 yards. I'll talk about it in the third segment. Not terrible. Okay. But still deserves to be in the bad because it wasn't good. Elijah Wilkinson. I talk about this guy too much. Not in the greatest way. This is, again, these aren't personal attacks. These are avatars who play for the Arizona Cardinals on the field. It's nothing to do with the people. I'm hard on people. I'm hard on them in between the lines. Okay. So I just have to give my disclaimer once every couple months. But first, Desmond Ridder played awfully. He played not well. He played the entire first half. To, I guess, his credit, he played against better defensive players than Clayton Tune played in the second half. To his credit, he's only been in this offense for a couple months. To his credit, he's not getting first team reps. Okay, those are all to his credit. And to his credit, the left side of the offensive line was terrible, and he didn't get a whole lot of time. Having said that, Desmond Ridder played horribly. 4 for 9, 42 yards, had 5 carries for 39 yards, which, before discussing the bad, the good is, and I've discussed this a little bit, especially after he was traded to the Cardinals is, say for some reason, he's got to start games in 2024. Drew Petzing got a lot out of Josh Dobbs last year, who never sniffed a starting job in the NFL. His ability to run the ball could very well turn this offense into Lamar Jackson rookie year Greg Roman offense, where it's run, 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 run. So he has that skill set. He's fleet of foot. Okay, he's elusive. The problem is he's not accurate. He doesn't always make the right read. He had a terrible throw on 4th and 2 on a crossing pattern that wasn't even close. And again, this is under the guise of he's only been with the team for a couple months. It's a brand new offense. Clayton Tune had all of last year. And Clayton Tune had all of last year thinking at any point he could start before Kyler Murray came back. So his preparation, his diving his nose into the playbook is something he had eons more experience with this offense, obviously, than Desmond Ridder. And Desmond Ridder only played a half of football. It was the first preseason game. It's a brand new offense. There's a bunch of new offensive pieces. So things weren't necessarily working for him, and he didn't play well. So at this point, at this juncture, we still have 2 more preseason games. Kyler Murray's not playing in any of them. He's going to see a lot more time. Like, I feel like we're going to see from now on, maybe Clayton Tune will start the first half of next week or this week, this weekend. Maybe he'll start with the ones, and then it'll be Clayton Tune the rest of the time, or Desmond Ridder the rest of the time. Because not just to see if he's going to be QB2, which it seems like there's no way he will at this point. It's, will he make the 53-man roster, which is wild. Still, very early, has plenty of time. He's a good guy. He's a good teammate. All of the things, all the intangibles that a backup quarterback needs in an effort to play that role well, he has. We just haven't seen it between the lines yet. And again, 1 half of football, 9 passing attempts. First preseason game, it's always a Travis Shea mockery, the first game. Like, all of that was going against him, okay? So this isn't like a get him off the team, what are we doing here? Stop. Very early. But what we've seen so far since the Cardinals have acquired him is Clayton Tune is the bona fide QB2 of this team. And every day, the gap seems to widen. Can it change? Of course. I think he's going to get plenty of run. I think he's going to get some run with the ones to see if he can produce at some point. And the ones is loosely defined. I don't even know how much James Conner is going to play. I don't know. But not great. And then, a little honorable mention for the bad, because this is a high profile. Marvin Harrison Jr. playing 3 snaps. That sucks. Like, selfishly, obviously you want to see the kid play. Also, wrap him in bubble wrap. Wrap him in bubble wrap. You don't want to see, if they said that he wasn't going to play in the preseason, I'd be like, okay, that's fair. 100%. Yes. That makes sense. Well, no, he's got to get his reps. The starters are starting elsewhere. The Cardinals have a very, very fragile ecosystem still. They're finally starting to get out of the hole that Steve Keim put them in. 4th overall pick. Say he goes through lumps early on in the season. He's going to go through lumps anyways. And the Cardinals, he's going to be the 3rd option coming out in week 1. Unless he absolutely lambastes the secondary from Buffalo. It's going to be James Conner. It's going to be Trey McBride. It's going to be Trey Benson, which has, like see small, miss small, or whatever it is. Aim small, whatever it is. Like Trey Benson, the margin for error is wider for him because he's a running back. All he has to do is have the ball hit his gut and run. It's different for a wide receiver. They've got options without Marvin Harrison Jr. Early in the season. I think that it's going to take a few weeks anyways. That just sucks. You want to see the kid play. And wrap him in bubble wrap. Locked on Cardinals, your team every day. Elijah Wilkinson. Next. This episode of Locked on Cardinals is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find those professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals faster and for free for your team. It's not just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively looking for new jobs, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't use other job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Now, this isn't a smear campaign on Desmond Ridder. It's early, but for the exercise that is this double dip that I'm doing today, the good, the bad, he wasn't good. So he's going in the bad. He's a quarterback. And he made Jody Ayler, friend of the show, Fox Sports 910, former associate of mine, he tweeted out he may not make the 53-man roster if he keeps playing like this, which is absurd to think. I think he will. Okay. Especially it's just the backup quarterback position is going to be fascinating if Kyler Murray gets hurt, because I don't think Clayton Tune's, we don't know yet. I just don't think he's good enough to lead this team. He's definitely the quarterback too, but I don't know if that's saying much. That's why, I wish the Cardinals would have gone out and just signed Tyrod Taylor. I wish they would have just gone out and signed a vet. The Jets gave him so much money to be back because they know if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, they need a guy. They can't throw a year away. And I'm surprised the Cardinals didn't do that. It's still early. I don't know if, I don't think there's anybody out there. That's the problem. But Jameis Winston, I would have loved for them to sign. He went over to Cleveland. But this is where they are, and this is where they're going to be. It seems like Elijah Wilkinson didn't play very well, played left tackle. For those that remember, he played left guard last year alongside DJ Humphries, who played left tackle. The left tackle and left guard position, the left side of the offensive line, was potentially, aside from the pass rush, the weakest position group on the team. The right side was great, especially compared to the left side. Hjalte Froholt played very well last year. He was able to kind of mask some of the deficiencies on the left side, but Will Hernandez and Paris Johnson Jr. played pretty well. Now, Evan Brown seems to be the left guard guy for week one. It seems like he's going to be the guy. And then with Paris Johnson Jr. playing the left and Jonah Williams playing the right, the offensive line is going to look a lot better than it did during the preseason. But he didn't play very well. And this begs the question, how good is this offensive line going to be? Okay. And I've said multiple times, and I stand by this, that this is the best offensive line that Kyler Murray's had since being drafted. On paper, how Paris Johnson has emerged back to his left tackle, position, his natural position. Everybody's saying that he moved over flawlessly. That's great. Jonah Williams, is he the best right tackle out there? No. Did he want to play with Kyler Murray? Yes. Was it a team-friendly deal? Yes. Has he shown enough to be a starter in perpetuity in the NFL? Yeah. Yes, he has. You've got Will Hernandez, who I was incredibly wrong about after his first year here coming over from the Giants. He's got better and better and better. And I think a lot of that has to do with the center play that wasn't Max Garcia or Sean Harlow when Rodney Hudson decided to get paid and then, take a vacation for the rest of the year instead of retiring. It was a Steve Keim special. But depth-wise, is Isaiah Adams going to be able to kind of leapfrog is Elijah Wilkinson on the depth chart? Because if so, that means that Elijah Wilkinson, while being a deep depth guy, will not need to be relied upon for meaningful snaps if somebody were to get injured. I don't know. And again, this is not a personal attack on him whatsoever. It's not. And I feel like that gets kind of, put together with these conversations. None of this is personal. This is directly the uniform number being worn by that player at that position. Them being human part, I don't have a direct, I don't know him. So this isn't a personal attack at all. It's just you look at how the plays play and you discuss it. So if Isaiah Adams can take that leap and become the left guard backup if Evan Brown's the guy, which it seems like, had Donnie Druin on from SI covering the Cardinals, like Tyler Drake from Arizona Sports, two of my dear friends now, like they're like, Evan Brown's the guy who's going to play left guard, it seems, at this point. But with that, the left side of the offensive line looked bad against the Saints. Like, clearly underwhelming. And Isaiah Adams, you can't really gauge how he played because everybody was just, off the edge on that left side. Well, I guess the right side for the defense. It was a big hole. And Isaiah Adams was just gasping for air, trying to help out Wilkinson, who was undermatched. And you hope that it's not something that is going to directly affect the Cardinals. Kelvin Beachum is going to be a vision. I know he's older. Okay. He can play left tackle and right tackle. The beauty, say Paris Johnson Jr. gets hurt, and this is all knock on wood. You don't want anybody to get hurt. One thing I say, you don't want anybody to get hurt, whether it's the Cardinals or your biggest rival. That's just not what you want, at all from a human aspect. But if Paris Johnson Jr. were to go down, knock on wood, at least Jonah Williams can move over and play left. Kelvin Beachum has played right tackle the majority of the time he was here, unless DJ Humphries was hurt. The Cardinals should be good depth-wise. And then John Gaines will be coming back. It'll be interesting to see where he is in the mix, if he's going to be the backup center or if Evan Brown's going to be the backup center and then John Gaines will move over to left guard. Like, the Cardinals at least have guys who are going to be able to protect Kyler Murray as a unit better than Kyler Murray's been protected since he's been drafted. That's the big picture win. Elijah Wilkinson, Saturday, not great. Trey Benson, didn't play horribly, didn't play great, but it's an interesting case study on rookie running backs playing in the preseason, and I'll discuss it next. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home those huge wins, man. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. If you haven't checked out part one of this little series I'm doing today, preseason week one, The Good, I posted it earlier today. It's on the YouTube channel and on wherever you get your podcasts. If you're audio only, this is The Bad. And while, again, preseason, week one, it's kind of messy and you don't really know what you're looking at. And especially if the other team's not playing their starters the entire game, which obviously they won't. The Cardinals were at least lucky to go against the ones, and they shut them down for the most part. Again, I know that the Saints are just going through the motions, kind of just getting their juices flowing with some NFL action. Marvin Harrison Jr. not playing was not fun, but that's selfish. If they want to wrap him up for the rest of the preseason, I'm in. I'm okay with that. Desmond Ridder didn't look good. Elijah Wilkinson didn't look good. Trey Benson looked fine. Okay, 8 carries, 21 yards. Okay, he played with the ones. He played against some of the ones on defense for the Saints. He had one burst run, I think, for 7 yards. He had total 8 carries, 21 yards. And it's going to take a little while for him to get used to the offense, okay? He wasn't playing he wasn't playing behind the starting offensive line, so there's a lot of things. He wasn't really used in the pass game all that much. And, it'll be interesting to see, he's a mystery to me for a couple different reasons. One that's completely out of his control is how much he's going to play in 2024. Well, it is in his control, but the majority of it is if James Conner's healthy. The chance of Trey Benson playing better than James Conner, garnering more snaps than James Conner, solely predicated upon performance on the field once the regular season starts is the slimmest chance for him to leapfrog James Conner on the depth chart. James Conner gets hurt, Trey Benson will be thrust into action, but you'd probably see Michael Carter and Amari DeMarcado. It's not guaranteed that Trey Benson's going to be RB2. Sure, he played great in college after transferring, after shattering his leg. He came over to Florida State. He had some of the best measurables during the college football season. He was looked at towards the top of the running backs in this class with Jalen Hyatt and Jonathan Brooks. And, he's going to be a good player for the Cardinals. His ceiling, we don't know. A lot of this we're going to find out in more than just 8 touches in the first preseason game. But it goes in the bad because he had the opportunity to go against, regardless of what the offensive line was for the Cardinals, to go against the ones of the Saints and wow people, and he did. That's more what this is. It's not so much what he did do, it's what he didn't do when given the opportunity in his first game. And that's not something that, it's not going to be a scarlet letter, or written in blood like, oh, bad football player, give me a break. It's more just, it would have been fun to see him with one burst run. Like one juke, getting around a corner and taking it 25 yards down the sideline, something like that. And there's plenty of time before the season starts for us to be able to see that from him. So out of all of the unfairness as pertaining to the bad, part 2 of this, the most unfair person to put here is him. But when it comes down to it, running backs are the easiest in this situation to gauge because there's no timing necessary. It's hike, turn around, hand the ball off, and you see what he can do. The left side was bad of the offensive line. Very few starters played, so you give him, points for that, I guess. But all in all, the bad for the Cardinals in the during the game against the Saints was far outshadowed by the good. So in summation of these two parts, let's kind of see the game as a whole. I don't really look at numbers per se. Like I've got the stats up. It's like when you see 4 for 9 for 42 yards and missing wide open receivers for Desmond Ridder, that stands out. I don't care about Clayton Tune's numbers. He looked fine. He looked good. I championed that he should have started week 1 last year, not because he was the best option necessarily, but they traded for Josh Dobbs, but because who cares? It doesn't matter. The Cardinals are going to lose a bunch of games. You cannot look at the Cleveland game, the one game he did start last year, and think that that's who Clayton Tune is. That was a buzzsaw. The Cardinals pretty much forfeited that game. So he looks good, looks comfortable in the offense. He made some good splash throws. But all in all, the defense looked like a Jonathan Gannon run defense. LJ Collier, who I could have put in the good honorable mention, he looked good. Rabbit looked good. Dadrian Taylor-Demerson looked good. Okay, he looked comfortable. Elijah Jones didn't. But, Chris Barnes had a couple good tackles, a couple good, pile drives, like wrestling moves, throwing guys down. He'll always be, that rotational piece at linebacker. But the Cardinals were prepared like Jonathan Gannon prepares their team. Nick Rallis, Jonathan Gannon prepared the defense. And they looked ready to roll. They went against the ones, regardless, again, of the arena by which they met. They look good. They didn't give up 14 points on the first 2 drives where you're looking like, oh boy, it's going to be a long season on defense. It's exactly what the defense looked like week 1 of the regular season last year against Washington. We had no idea what it was going to be. And obviously, Washington last year in no way is better than the Saints offense in the ones this year. Saints offense is much more star-studded than the Sam Howell-led Washington, especially early on. Sam Howell got better as the year went on. But, the Cardinals showed up, and people on, everybody, social media, on TV are like, oh, they're ready to rock. They're ready to play. This defense showed up, and that is something you can't fake. That is something that is inherent, that is now subconscious for this team. And that's, well, you're saying that people showing up in the NFL ready to play, that's a kudos. It's not the same thing. That is like Bill Burr has a funny has a funny joke where he talks about, like, his temper and his wife saying, "Oh, you go to 0-100 so quick." And he's like, "I idle at 70." And it's a funny joke. I butchered it, but this defense idles at 70. Their floor for intensity is higher than we've seen in a long time in Arizona. A long, long time. Doesn't matter the talent. Their floor for intensity is a lot higher. Doesn't matter who's wearing the uniforms and who's playing the snaps, which is a culture thing. That is a deep-rooted thing that has been instilled upon this organization by Jonathan Gannon since taking over. And you see it, and we've seen it since week 1 against Washington last year, and it has not wavered one iota. They haven't taken plays off. They haven't done this stuff. Sure, they were undermanned talent-wise, and they lost by double digits a couple times last year, but they were in most games through the first half, and then obviously, make adjustments by opposing teams, and you're like, oh, they don't have any talent, so go do this. That's the biggest win. That's the biggest win of all of it. Okay? Is the mindset is there. The offense will be fine. The defense is what's going to be under a microscope. Max Melton DNP, which isn't really fun. It'll be interesting to see what happens this upcoming week, to see who's going to play more snaps. I wonder if Clayton Tune is going to start the game with the ones. We'll see if Marvin Harrison Jr. plays or more. Maybe get him a target. There were 2 run plays out of the 3 that he lined up. So, I mean, I think it's maybe just the initiation. Welcome to the NFL. But, the bad was far outweighed by the good. And one last disclaimer. I know that this is week 1 of the preseason. I get it. But this is the first glimpse into what we're going to see of this team when the regular season starts. And you will take the abstract, like I had to do all year, the last damn year, because the Cardinals weren't winning games. It's like, look more in depth than just the box score and just the final score. Look and see how this game is being played by this team, by this organization, how they prepare, how they interact with each other. This is a team full of dogs now. That's why, while the defense is still lacking some talent, that doesn't mean that won't be overcome by teamwork, that intensity, and the dog mentality that the entire defense has. And that's leadership, that's preparation, that's coaching, that's Nick Rallis, that's Jonathan Gannon, and that's something that even if they don't have as much talent going into the season, that's expected for an NFL defense in an effort to win more games than one team loses, you can always fall back on the things that they don't have to think about doing anymore. And that's thanks to Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rallis. And that is a fantastic position to be in. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Remember, without you, there is no me. I'll talk to you tomorrow.